When growing up, I never imagined I'll be clearing bombs. I imagined a normal life for me. I wanted to have a family. I wanted to be a teacher, as this is what women in South Lebanon usually do. So I did as well. I left university in my 3rd year of studying English literature to get married. I got a job as an English teacher in tier in a secondary school to assist with the family income. I became a mother for 2 beautiful girls, Razan and Fatima. My life was set. In summer 2006, up to 4 million cluster submunitions were dropped on South Lebanon by Israel. They dispersed hundreds of bomblets over an area from bigger bombs. They cannot distinguish between military and civilian targets during the attack and leave behind unexploded ordnance that can harm innocent civilians. That's why in 2008, more than 100 countries came on board for a new treaty banning cluster munition. I do hope the United States will be one to join soon as well. It is estimated that hundreds of cluster munitions failed to explode and contaminated more than 48 million square meters of land. They dispersed over villages, on roads, rendering fertile lands unusable. More than 400 people were killed or injured by these cluster bombs. Thousands and more were indirectly affected where they can't use or harvested their lands anymore. In addition to 2006 hostilities, I had my own personal conflict around the same time. In December 2007, my marriage ended. And since then, my children stayed with me only the weekends, which is very hard for me. Divorce is never easy. But in Lebanon, it is made very difficult of how society perceives divorced women. I had 2 options after returning back to my parents' home. Either to feel ashamed and effectively have no life, or persevere. A month after my divorce, I heard from a friend that Norwegian People's Aid is inviting women as well as men to apply as a searcher in this program for clearing cluster munition in South Lebanon. I knew I needed to apply. I know also, to be honest, I didn't know what is really meant to clear cluster munition. In addition, my mother's family lost 5 of her family members during this attack. And of course, they were not too thrilled for me to apply in such a job that could be dangerous for me. But for me, it sounded exactly the change I wanted. I wanted to do something worthwhile. I wanted to feel something good for myself and be proud of what I did. So despite my family's advice, I applied for the job with 50 other girls and women. The training became very normal, and after a month and a half, we had to pass, all of us, accreditation from the Lebanese Mine Action Center. And since after we finished this training, I was chosen as a section commander. And since 2010, I am a site supervisor for a female clearance team. And from this year, the beginning of this year, I am the only woman accredited to perform demolition for the unexploded cluster munition that we find. Women in my team have had similar reaction from their families and friends toward working in the same job as mine. For them, as their opinion, that this job is not for women. This job, as said, is for men. And women, their job is going to teach as teachers, nothing else. But for us, we've been working for 4 years now, and we are proving that we can do this job. We are positive role models of our children, either also for all the women in South Lebanon. And we feel proud of what we did, especially when we are clearing any lands, and we know that the people are again using the same land. And also the children are playing freely without feeling afraid or without having any new victims. Also, many people trying to ask the female team in order to clear their lands because they trust in their patience, in their focus, in how they are working steadily and without being afraid. I want to quickly introduce you to my team. Abir Asad, Palestinian refugee, a mother for 5 daughters. She says maybe she will be the first granny deminer. Diala, Rahil, Rihab, Salam, Ibtisam, Nada, and lastly, Sukaina, which is a mother for 5, and the baby, 24, the baby of our team. We are all like a family, and this also ensures that we do our job well and safe. So how is our day like? We start our trip from the base at 6 a.m. to reach the task, and we start our clearance at 7 a.m. All the searchers must start their clearance working from the previous working lanes they left yesterday. And as for their safety, of course, they have to put their vests, helmets, and visors for protection. Also, you can imagine how it gets pretty hot under this equipment, and the temperature when rises over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. As for safety also, they have to be apart from each other 25 meters in case of a cluster munition explodes. As me, as a site supervisor, I have to make quality control behind them, be sure that they are working steadily and safely without leaving any signal behind them. Around 1:30, which is at the end of the day, all searchers mark their progress and close their lanes. And if they find any cluster at the end of the day, I'm going to make demolition for it. And after that, all the searchers will go home to their families safely. Searching for cluster bomb is not easy, as you have to inspect every signal the locator is finding, so that in the future they will not find any cluster behind us. Until now, every searcher clears 70 square meters per day. All 5 MPA clearance team cleared up till now 4 million square meters of land and have found 4,000 cluster munition, and they were exploded. There are still 18 square meters of land contaminated with cluster munition in South Lebanon. And according to the Lebanese clearance plan, if number of clearance team and donor funding maintained, Lebanon should be cleared by 2016. And we are here to assist this plan. So myself and the rest of the team are effectively working ourselves out of the job. and we are happy to do so, as we know that in the future our children will play and work freely in the gardens, in the playgrounds, in everywhere. And also in the future, my daughters will be searching for a job that, of course, there will no more be a cluster munition to search for. As for our future, we are not worried. We know that we can do anything after we have done this. Thank you.